Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1978 AN. Today's date is September 24th, 2019, and the title of the episode is The Future Does Not Belong to the Globalist Anymore, Trump. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about protecting yourself. Nothing invokes full-scale panic like Wall Street panicking, but quietly, secretly, U.S. corporate insiders, they're preparing. What are they doing? Well, they call it financial prepping, being cautious, protecting their assets, and all sorts of other fancy explanations. But make no mistake, this is controlled panic. CNN reported $600 million of stocks has been sold each day in August. This only happened previously before the 2008 crash. Insider selling has topped $10 billion for 5 months straight. Meanwhile, gold is rocketing and demand is at a 3-year high according to the World Gold Council. The rise in the price of gold and silver shows no sign of slowing down anytime soon, and investors seeking shelter for the stocks they cashed in are piling into precious metals, which have risen by 32% since August last year. Precious metals, gold, silver, as an IRA or 401k rollover will keep you safe and help you ride out the latest storm, as they always have done. But you need to act fast. Call Noble Gold right now at 877-646-5347 and ask them to help you move your money to safety. Or you can hit the link below and someone will contact you and you'll get the free gold and silver investment guide that has been downloaded over 50,000 times. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know the elite, the establishment, they will do everything and anything to try to stop the patriots. And that is including Boris Johnson out in the UK. Think about what has been happening here. They had Theresa May. That was their person. She was going to make this incredible deal for the EU, not for the people. The Parliament decided, no, we're not going to go through with this. So she resigned. Then Boris Johnson came on board, and he was not their person. He goes against the establishment. They can't control him, not the way they're controlling everyone else. And they realized that they needed a way to stop him. Now remember, out in the UK and many countries, the deep state, the swamp, is deep and wide. They control a lot of the government, a lot of the courts. People are blackmailed. Yes, it is the same in the UK, same in the US, same in France, same in many, many countries. This whole system was set up that way. And we're really not surprised that the top court ruled that Boris Johnson, well, the suspension was illegal. He wasn't allowed to suspend Parliament. Why? Because he lied to the Queen. Now, of course, this is what they're saying. But we need to remember that the globalists, the central bank players, they have embedded themselves in the court system. They control it all. It's like every other country. Remember how Trump had to change the Supreme Court justices, the federal judges across the country? Well, Boris Johnson, he didn't have time to do that. So what happened here? In this landmark ruling, the top UK court says Johnson, his suspension of Parliament is illegal. Now, of course, Johnson is out there and he strongly disagrees with the decision of the Supreme Court. And he said, of course, Parliament will come back. And he says there's a lot of people that want to frustrate the BREXIT, where they don't want it to happen. Or if it does happen, it has to be on their terms. Now remember, those who surround Boris Johnson are not actually supporting him either. There are many individuals that were put into place, and they really don't support him. Think of Trump. How many people he had to let go through his term so far? And how many people were placed in those positions to go after Trump? Boris Johnson is experiencing the same thing. Now, Nigel Farage is saying, listen, this was a tactical error. And who led you to do this? This was Chief Advisor Dominic Cummings. And Nigel Farage is saying that they've crossed swords in the past, and this individual should step down over the affair which he is widely thought to have engineered. And he tweeted out the following: "The calling of a Queen's speech and prorogation is the worst political decision ever. Dominic Cummings must go." Now, we're hearing the same exact thing that we hear from those people that want Trump gone. Since this happened, the same exact people that didn't want Brexit, or they wanted Brexit in their own way, which wasn't really a Brexit, they're doing exactly what those who are trying to get rid of Trump are doing. We have Jeremy Corbyn and many others saying, because of this, Boris Johnson should resign. Now, of course, they're using this to try to force Johnson out. They don't want him in there. They can't control him. Boris Johnson is not going to resign. Just like Trump is not going to resign, just like he's not going to be impeached, just like they're not going to get rid of him. The same thing goes with Boris Johnson. But when we take a closer look at the UK Supreme Court President Lady Hale, she's wearing a spider. Now that's very interesting. Where have we read about spiders before? Well, these are all throughout Q's posts. He talks about spiders and spider webs. Let's go back to post 350 for a second. Q says, find the spider or spiders and build the web, the map. Remember, they consider you to be the fly, specifically the feeder. So remember, there are many individuals within very high positions that are working for the swamp, which means most of them most likely are blackmailed. And we can see that they do not want this to go forward. They're trying to stop the Brexit dead in its tracks. But remember, Boris Johnson, there is a loophole. There is that little thing where he just has to write a letter saying that we do not want an extension, and he goes through with the no-deal Brexit. Now, of course, since Parliament is back in session, what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to stop it any way they possibly can. And we'll have to see how this all plays out. Does it mean it's completely dead? No, nothing's ever completely dead. It just means you need to step back, look at the plan, and adjust. And that is exactly what he's going to do. Now, here in the U.S., we can see why the mainstream media, the financial pundits, are all saying that if Trump cuts rates and starts stimulus, there's going to be a recession. They were trying to stop him before he did this. Why? Because Trump is using the same weapon as Obama did back in 2012, right before the election. What happened? Well, in 2012, right before Obama was reelected, the Fed under former Chairman Ben Bernanke did what Trump is doing now. In the press release that followed the September 12th and September 13th, 2012 Fed policy meeting, Bernanke and his crew announced the third QE move since the Great Recession took hold. Specifically, the Fed's press release said the following: the committee agreed today to increase policy accommodation by purchasing additional agency mortgage-based securities at the pace of $40 billion a month. So what does that mean? The Fed was printing an extra $40 billion more a month and putting that money into the economy so that the conditions wouldn't weaken. By doing this, the Fed guaranteed that the interest rates would stay low. When the Fed announced that pre-election QE blockbuster in 2012, the economy was growing at 2%. And in the third quarter of 2012, the GDP ended up, when all the revisions were done, at 3.1% annualized growth. Think about this. This is why they're pushing the recession call out in the mainstream media, because they knew they only had a small window. They also know that this economy is not going to last. But they knew that if Trump forces the Fed to do what he wants, cut the rates, and then start stimulus, guess what? The economy is going to take off. This was already proven back during the time that Obama was being reelected. And remember, the Fed is supposed to be politically neutral. So why did Bernanke do this for Obama? Think about this for a second. But we know the Fed, they have their own agenda. And now it seems their agenda is Trump's agenda. Now, Trump at the UN just announced that the future does not belong to the globalist any longer. Take a listen to what he said.
The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique.
He is letting everyone know that globalism is dead. He continued with saying the following: globalism exerted a religious pull over past leaders, causing them to ignore their own national interest. But as far as America is concerned, those days are over. Trump. Letting all those globalist individuals, letting them know that everything they tried to do by making a one world currency, a one world government, it's all gone. Not just the U.S., but other countries now are latching on to the idea of nationalism, protecting their own people, and not allowing unelected leaders to control our future, our economic future. Everything is changing right now. The patriots, they have the control. And you can see by Trump's UN speech, he just let all those individuals who believed that globalism was going to take over, that the central bank was going to be the power of all powers, he's letting everyone know it's not happening. We're entering the next phase. We're entering the phase where he goes after the source of all of this, and that is the central bank. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.